evening, everyone. As most of you know that there is going to be an annual conference of Karnataka State Chartered Accountants Association happening on March 14th and 15th. We have a representative from SEZ, Sujata Raghuraman, who will be announcing about the details before the session begins.
On behalf of KCA, I thank SARC of Bangalore Chairman for making us to make this announcement. On 15th and 16th of March, KCA is organizing 31st annual conference in Bansanda, Vijayanagar, and this is going to be a very interesting and useful session for all the members, because not only for practicing members but also for industry members and other finance professionals. Basically, this is a 2 days conference where we have divided into 3 sessions. One is purely technical session, other one is a more like health session, other thing is an entertainment session where you can attend with your family. So you please log into www.kca.com and register it online. We have got 3 categories of discounts. One is that those who make early bird registration before 5th of March, you get some discount. Second is that for the first 10 registrants in a day, we have another type of discount. Another one is 50% discount for official members. So, looking forward to see you all in the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Sujata. We have few more announcements happening. 2nd March, we have a session on one-day seminar on investor awareness program, which is about derivatives and mutual funds and IFRS. People who are interested, please get in touch with anyone of us to get the details. And online registration is already open. It's around 300 rupees inclusive of GST. It's very nominal. And requesting you to get registered for that particular conference. And one more is a one-day seminar on bank branch audit, which is happening on 23rd March at Hotel Chancery Pavilion, which also has about networking and technical sessions on bank branch audit and all. I think this will be very useful for most of them, so kindly do get registered. Online registrations are open on this, and the fees is around 2,200 inclusive of GST. Thank you very much. And today we have a speaker, Annapurna Kabra, with us on a session. I request Shriram sir, the present chairman, to escort Annapurna Kabra on the stage and present her with a welcome bouquet. Please give a big round of applause for our speaker today. Thank you, sir. Annapurna Kabra. I think I don't need to give any introduction about her because she's a very well-known, renowned speaker among us. And GST being one of the hot topics, and always we are behind the kind of updates and what are the provisions, effective, how it is affecting us. So I think this is going to be a very interesting topic today. So let me give a quick round of intro for Annapurna Kabra today. She is a fellow member in Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and she is a partner at HSKA Advisors. And she has completed her DISA and DIRM course as conducted by ICI. She has contributed to the articles on VAT and GST, and is a regular contributor of articles to various professional journals, including Bangalore branch of ICI Journal or Karnataka State Chartered Accountants Association Journal, SARC, etc. She has co-authored the book on Guide to VAT Audit and VAT in Karnataka. She has co-authored on the VAT audit of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. She has also co-authored on the background material of indirect tax of ICAI. She has authored the technical guide to KVAT for ICAI. She has again co-authored on the discussion paper on transitional issues towards GST. She has also contributed e-lecture on topic demand and recovery and other topics to IDT committee of ICAI. She is the State Taxes Committee member of FKCCI. She is a faculty to the GST certification course as conducted by the ICA. She is also a member of Bangalore Study Group of ICA. She is a committee member for development of study module for Karnataka Commercial VAT officers, and she is a regular faculty to the Physical Policy Institute. she has addressed in the gatherings of chartered accountants, tax practitioners, dealers and department officers on indirect taxation matters including GST on various forums. So today's topic is on GST provisions and issues, export and import, deemed export and the SEZ supplies. Hope that this is going to be a very enlightening and a very fantastic presentation by Annapurna Kabra. Now I give hand over to Annapurna.
Good evening everybody. First of all, I thank Bangalore branch of ICI for giving an opportunity to share on the most relevant topic in the GST from the perspective of exports, imports, deemed export and SEZ. And I congratulate to the new team members of Bangalore branch of ICI because I think after they have formed the committee, this is the first session I am taking. So heartily congratulations to all the team members. Hope we conduct more and more programs and enlighten us with all the knowledge to all the members. I think yesterday when I saw that today I have to speak something on export, import, SEZ and deemed exports. There was one update which has come yesterday on Kara Samadhana scheme. I think most of you are aware on this scheme. Yes. It was already proposed in the state budget and this has been notified yesterday. This Kara Samadhana scheme was proposed in the state budget and more or less whatever was proposed in the state budget has been incorporated in the notification. Now let us understand what is this Kara Samadhana scheme actually. This scheme has been given like a voluntary disclosure scheme. I think we had something called as under the service tax. So similarly under the state laws also we have something called as where you are required to only pay the taxes and you are exempted from paying your 100% interest and 100% penalties. I think we in the day-to-day proceedings with the department, we are having a lot of assessments which are going on. And I think this is the first time the Kara Samadhana scheme which has come out with one more condition that assessment can be completed up to 30th June 2019. I think this is the first time I am seeing in the Kara Samadhana scheme. Otherwise, always it used to state the orders passed prior to the introduction of this Kara Samadhana scheme. So I think this is the first time we should welcome this new proposition in the Kara Samadhana scheme which has stated that even though the orders are passed prior to 30th June 2019, even those can avail the benefits of Kara Samadhana. But only thing is we have to follow up with our officers to see that they pass the orders, yes, assessment orders and other orders. Now the second very important condition for this Kara Samadhana scheme is if you have already filed an appeal, then you cannot go for Kara Samadhana scheme directly. For that you have to withdraw your appeal in case if you have already filed for disputing your taxes, interest and penalty. If you have already filed before the Commissioner appeal or before the Karnataka Appellate Tribunal, then you can withdraw that appeal and can apply for Kara Samadhana scheme. And third thing is when you are applying for this scheme, you need not make any payment as such immediately because they have given the time till 30th September 2019 to make a payment of taxes. And this is not only covering the State VAT Act, this is also covering Central Sales Tax Act, this is also covering the Luxuries Tax, this is also covering entertainment taxes, this is also covering Sales Tax Act. So a lot of minor acts are also covered under the Kara Samadhana scheme. So entry tax, I think if any of you are receiving a notice on entry tax also, they can think of going for Kara Samadhana scheme. Now the issue is already the assessment order is passed, you have already paid the taxes. Can you go for Kara Samadhana scheme? In case just 10-15 days back if you have already paid the taxes with interest and penalty, can you go for refund of interest and penalties? That permission is not given in this scheme actually. And the second is, if the state has already filed an appeal against the order which you have received to the court then or to the appellate tribunal, then you cannot apply for this Kara Samadhana scheme. So I think that also we have to look whenever we are applying for this Kara Samadhana scheme. So the very important is in case if your case is pending before enforcement authority, see that it refers back to the audit immediately and get the assessed accordingly. Now the next aspect is, can you go for rectification? The order is already passed under the state VAT law or under the central sales tax law. Can you go for rectification and then can apply for Kara Samadhana scheme? Because I think you are aware under the Karnataka VAT Act, we have section 69 which gives a permission to rectify your order within 5 years from the date of receipt of assessment order. Subject to that, there is a apparent or there is error on records actually. So, in case order is received, can you still apply for Kara Samadhana scheme by going for rectification? So, I think that is also permissible. See that rectification happens prior to 30th June 2019 actually. So, I think these are all the ways you can go for this scheme, and I think it will be more beneficial in case if the issue is disputed, or if you think that it takes a lot of time, there is opportunity cost for this, then rather go for payment of taxes by waiving of your interest and penalty. Especially for earlier cases, it is quite helpful under the statewide law or under the respective law. So basically tax should be paid in full. So the next issue is, can I pay the taxes in installments actually? Say by 30th June I have applied for this, can I pay the taxes in installments? Say my taxes are 1 crore. So that was a proposal given to the government saying that you allow us to make a payment in installments. So I think that way we can make an application to the government saying that please allow us to make the payment of taxes in installment till 30th September 2019 actually. So I think this was there in last year also, and now again it has been continued. It has been again proposed under the statewide law and other commercial central sales tax law. So in case if you have filed appeal, please see that it can be withdrawn immediately. It is an option, it is not mandatory actually, it is your discretion to apply for this Kara Samadhana scheme. Now the next is, I think on Sunday, we were enjoying our Sunday and we got to know certain recommendation of GST Council on real estate. Whereas the relaxation was given by saying that 5% will be leviable without input tax credit. Yes. Now the issue arises to all the construction industry today. Is it an option or is it a mandatory? That was the first issue because it got compared with your textile industry, your restaurant. I think restaurant it made mandatory. They did not go with the option of 18% credit. They have to say that it is 5% without input tax credit. So similarly, it looks to be like they can borrow the same thing even for the construction industry. And the next recommendation they have brought it that it will be effective from 1/4/2019. So basically, I think we have to, in March, if any of you are dealing with these construction clients, kindly look into the aspects of taxation. The agreements entered prior to 31/3/2019, the agreements entered after 31/3/2019. What is your milestone, what is the payments, what is the taxes you have agreed in your agreement. Kindly re-look into that. And you can also see the time of supply provisions for this change in the rate of tax in the old regime and new regime actually. So there are certain aspects I think you have to look for the construction industry, because I think definitely when it comes with 5% without input tax credit, then on 31st March 2019, whatever the credit it is lying, it can exhaust and it can become your cost actually. So we have to be very careful on this. And even the material supplied to your subcontractors, what is the impact of that when you are going with 5% without input tax credit. So I think little analyzing is required for the recommendation until the notification come for real estate industry. So I think we have to wait and see. It is only the recommendations which we have to look into that. So that is the recommendation just for the updations. Now let us come to this topic of exports from the perspective of GST law. Before this, let us understand that exports, imports are defined under the IGST Act. Whether IGST Act is replacing the CST Act actually? Yes or no? No. It is not replacing your CST taxes, because CST taxes was your origin based taxes, whereas integrated GST is a consumption based taxes. Earlier, CST was always our cost, whereas in IGST law, always your taxes are your credits, whereas in the CST law, always your taxes were your cost. Now, what was the implication of exports under the earlier regime and what is the implication of exports under the GST regime? I think most of you would have experienced for the exports, initially lot of exporters had working capital issues for not getting the refund within the time. So this was the major implications for the exporters. So what was the implication under the earlier regime for the exporters? They were not paying any taxes. It was exported without payment of taxes, because please understand there is a difference between zero rated supply and exempted supply. Exports are not exempted supply. Exports are always zero rated supply. It means it is a taxable supply, but it is exempted. It is not taxable. It is not exempted. It is not taxable. So basically we have to understand that it is taxable supply, but it is, you cannot export the taxes to outside the country. That's why it is called as a zero rated, because there is a lot of difference between taxable supply and exempt supply. So first of all, we have to understand that exports are a zero rated supply. Then goods and services are to be exported, but taxes are not to be exported. That is one of the objective of this exports. World Trade Organization stipulates that goods and services can be made free of domestic taxes. So we will look into the next slides. Where are the aspects where it can even make free from your domestic taxes also. Supply to SEZ unit and SEZ developer are also treated at par with your regular physical exports. So we will see the features of that SEZ. Provision of GST Act has been designed to make exports tax free. So we have to look into the provisions under the GST Act and under the other act, under the Customs Tariff Act, to look where it is made as tax free. So basically, which is the charging section actually to levy the taxes on exports? You cannot read the section 5 independently. It has to be read along with your Customs Tariff Act. So, integrated tax on goods imported into India shall be levied and collected in accordance with the customs law. It is not independently a charging section under the IGST law. It has to be read along with the Customs Tariff Act and Customs Act actually. Yes. Now let us just before proceeding that there were a lot of schemes under the earlier regime. There are a lot of schemes even under the GST regime, like for SEZ, for EOU, for advance authorizations and for EPCG scheme. That we'll see in the next slide, but these are the certain schemes which are given under the earlier regime, and even it has continued some of the benefits even under the GST regime also. Just for reference of the definition for our reference, they have defined the customs area. What is customs area actually? As per section 2, subsection 11 of Customs Act 1962, custom area means the area of a custom station or a warehouse. The warehouse has been added in a custom area, very important, and includes any area in which imported goods or exported goods are ordinarily kept before clearance by the customs authority. So they have defined what do you mean by custom area. This is very important to understand the implication of taxes on exports and imports actually. Then let us read the section 3 subsection 7 of Customs Tariff Act, which is referred in IGST Act for levying the taxes under the IGST Act. So what it states, any article which is imported into India in addition to be liable to IGST, that is integrated tax, at such rate not exceeding 40% as is leviable under section 5 of IGST Act on a like article on its supply in India on the value of imported article as determined under subsection 8 of Customs Tariff Act. So they have set the tax rates as IGST on the imported goods should not exceed the 40%. I think under the Central GST Act we has not exceeding 20%, and under the State GST Act also we have not more than 20%. So cumulatively the rate of tax on import should not exceed more than 40%. So that is what we have stated. Whether this import will be leviable to compensation cess. So the next section states that, section 9 states that any article which is imported into India shall in addition be liable to the goods and service tax compensation cess at such rate as is leviable under section 8 of the GST Act on a like article on its supply in India on the value of imported article. So we will see in the next slides on what value we are liable to pay the IGST. Yes. So this is certain definitions we should know before going into the law actually. Now let us understand the definitions in simple terms. What is export actually? In simple terms, what is export? Export means taking goods out of India to a place outside India. It means there should be a physical movement of goods from one country to the other country. You cannot just say that you have exported the goods or exported the goods. So specifically they have used for exported of goods as goods out of India to a place outside India. But for exported of service, what is the conditions? If you see in export of goods, there is no condition that you should receive the currency in your foreign convertible currency. There is no such conditions. Only one condition is that you should take goods out of India to a place outside India. Whereas for export of services, they have added all these conditions, and please remember all these conditions are not optional. All these conditions are mandatory. So it has to be fulfilled in total. All the conditions. If one of the condition also fails, then as per section 7 subsection 5, it will become as a tax in the course of interstate supply and will be liable for IGST. So that is very important. So what is the condition for this? The condition is that the supplier of services should be located in India. If you see under the IGST IGST Act, they have defined what is the location of supplier of services and recipient of services. So basically it says that the supplier of services should be located in India. The second condition is that the recipient of service should be located outside India. The third condition is that the place of supply of service is outside India. So you have to refer to the sections to analyze whether the place of supply is in India or whether the place of supply is outside India. Though you will be fulfilling all other conditions, but if the place of supply amounts to India, then it will not become as an export of services. The fourth condition is that the payment for such service has been received by the supplier of service in convertible foreign exchange. Please remember, it is not only foreign exchange, it should be convertible foreign exchange. And the last condition is that the supplier of the services and the recipient of service are not merely establishment of a distinct person in accordance with explanation 1 of section 8. It means what? If you have branch office and head office, if they are treated as an establishment of distinct person, then the service provided cannot qualify as an export of services. So this is just to clarify the transactions between branch and head office located in a different part of the country. Now, what is the treatment of export under the GST law? The treatment under the GST law is the exports can it be treated as interstate supply and covered under the IGST Act? Yes, if the conditions are not fulfilled, there is a power given to the government to levy a IGST even on export transactions if they are not fulfilling the conditions. Now the next is, what is the zero rated supply? Zero rated supply, there are two types of zero rated supply which is defined in section 16 subsection 1 of the IGST Act, that is exports of goods or services or both, or supply of goods or services or both to a special economic zone developer or special economic zone unit. So even supply to SEZ has become in par with the physical exports. So these two type of exports are called as zero rated exports. Exporters, can they claim the refund of even this compensation cess? This was one issue actually. They said yes, even they can claim the refund of GST compensation cess. Now, an exporter can easily eligible to claim the refund in any of the following two options. So what they said, first of all, it should amount as a zero rated supply, that is your physical exports or supply to SEZ. Then the next condition is that what is the option to claim the refund? Once you have exported, you have the option to claim the refund. How you can export? You can export with payment of taxes or you can export without payment of taxes. So once you export without payment of taxes, you have to produce or you have to supplement your letter of undertaking or bond to suffice that you are exporting without payment of taxes. Yes? And the second option is you can export with payment of taxes. You can ask, how can you export with payment of taxes? Because initially you said that you cannot export the taxes. Then how can you come out with this option of export with payment of taxes? It is nothing but your input tax credit. To that extent you will be showing it as a payment of taxes. You can set off your credit and again can claim the refund of taxes whatever we are disclosing in our export invoice. So that is nothing but a rebate mechanism where you show it with payment of taxes and again you can claim the refund of taxes by utilizing your input tax credit. So there is no actual taxes which you are going to charge from the recipient. It is only a disclosure in your invoice for making a payment and claiming the refund from the department. Yes, you are clear with this? Now, the next aspect is, there are two aspects to claim the refund. The first aspect is, you can go without payment of taxes, yes? And the second aspect is with payment of taxes. Now, without payment of taxes, what you are going to produce? You are going to produce the LUT for that. Now the next aspect is how you can take the input tax credit of that. How can you take the refund of that input tax credit which you have exported with without payment of taxes? So they have specified in section 54 subsection 3 saying that you can claim the refund of unutilized input tax credit. 54.3 has given option only to claim the refund in two scenarios. One is unutilized input tax credit in the case of exports without payment of taxes and the second is inverted duty structure. So whenever you are going to claim the refund of input tax credit on export without payment of taxes, there are two conditions they have attached to that. What is the two condition? That the exports without payment of taxes, whatever you are going to claim the refund, you should not offer the export duty on such exports. The first condition is that whatever the exports you are going to make without payment of taxes, such goods should not suffer export duties. And the second aspect is that you should not claim the benefit of custom. You can claim the benefit of custom duty drawback, but you should not claim the benefit of IGST or CGST as the case may be. So whenever you are exporting without payment of taxes, You should not take the benefit of drawback, or you should not levy those goods with export duty. If you are fulfilling these conditions, then only you are going to get a refund on input tax credit for exports without payment of taxes. Am I clear? Yes. So in case of export of payment of tax without payment of taxes, two conditions are very important. Export, one is it should not suffer export duty. The second is you should not claim drawback of IGST or CGST as the case may be. But you can claim the custom duty drawback. Please remember, some of the officers are issuing notices that no, you have claimed the drawback, so we will not give the refund actually. If it is custom duty drawback, still you can claim the refund of IGST, CGST as the case may be. Yes. So that is they have made a clarification in the circular saying that even if there is a custom duty drawback, the applicant can make a refund of input tax credit of CGST, SGST. Now, exporter of goods and service exporters can claim the refund. Now, the next aspect is IGST refund from customs in case of exports with payment of taxes. What I was saying, without payment of taxes, you are applying to GST portal, but with payment of taxes, you have to apply to the customs authority. Yes, you have to apply in this IGST portal, and you have to file shipping bill, export general manifest, valid returns to be filed for claiming the refund. This is a scenario where you are exporting with payment of taxes. Your shipping bill will be treated as an application for claiming the refund actually. So there is already an inbuilt mechanism in the customs portal and the GST portal to issue the refund in case of exports with payment of taxes. But I think in last 1.5 years, most of us have experienced the pain of getting the refund from the IGST portal actually. So there are various reasons actually for not getting the refund, like incomplete return or details of shipping bill is not updated, because many times the return is asking the information of export invoice as well as shipping bills, but in many of the practical scenarios the export invoice is issued in one month and shipping bill is raised in the next month actually. So it is not getting up, it is not updated, though it is permissible to update the shipping bill in the future months also. It has not been updated, because of that also the refund will get rejected. So I think these are the certain refund, certain status we get it when we apply for refund. What is that actually? There is a code actually for this. If it is SBIT 000, it says that it is successfully validated. If it is this code, it says invalid. Then it says, if it depends upon the code, your error will be decided actually. EGM is not valid, or GSTN is not matching, or record already received and validated, or invalid invoice number, or gateway EGM not available. It means what? You have to rectify or just leave it actually. It has to get rectified to further process for refund. So you have to apply to the customs authority. You have to go to the IGST website and update it accordingly. Now the recent amendment has happened, which has a big implication actually. There is a recent amendment in refund procedure. In section 54, subsection 8 states that you can export, earlier the terminology was used as zero rated supplies. You can claim the refund for zero rated supplies with payment of taxes, or you can claim input tax credit used for such zero rated supplies. So zero rated supplies are including two types of transaction. One is physical exports, and the second is supply to SEZ. So now they have made an amendment from 1st of 2019 saying that it will cover only exports. It will not cover supply to SEZ. Yes. So because of this amendment in 54 subsection 8 of the IGST Act, now the supplier to SEZ must make always under bond or LUT, and they cannot go with supplies to SEZ with payment of taxes actually. This is an amendment which is made in 54.8. Otherwise earlier what was happening? We were taking both the benefits and we were claiming the refund. So now they have made an amendment in 54 subsection 8. Earlier it was zero rated supply. Now they have made only exports, and they have removed supply to SEZ. Yes. So I think that we have to make it clear for this amendment which is effective from 1st Feb 2019. Now what is the amendment they have made it for export of services actually? A small change actually. The one of the condition, I think earlier regime used to have for export of services, if you receive only convertible foreign exchange, we used to say it is an export of services. That used to happen in the earlier regime. But now they said when you are fulfilling all this condition, one of the conditions they have made an amendment from 1st of 2019 saying that you can receive the currency, this consideration either in convertible foreign exchange or in Indian rupee wherever permitted by RBI. So only in some specific cases, if it is permitted, you can receive the consideration in Indian currency and still it will be treated as export of services. So basically I think it has impacted the supply to Nepal and Bhutan. Not less than 3 to 4 notification circulars has come only for clarifying on supply to Nepal and Bhutan, and this was covered in notification 12/2017 saying that it is exempt supply. So because of that there was a reversal of input tax credit. Now they have removed that exemption in the exemption notification. They have removed supply to Nepal and Bhutan, and now they have clarified that even supply to Nepal and Bhutan can amount to an export of services even if it is receiving the consideration in Indian rupee. So there is no question of reversal of input tax credit. Earlier it was amounting to as a exempt supply, and then they have made a clarification and amendment in the respective law. Now this is one of the interesting amendment which has happened recently as Circular number 78/52/2018 dated 31st December 2018, where part of the export services are outsourced to a overseas supplier. For example, I had a contract with a US company. Just I am taking the same example which is stated in the circular. I being a company, registered company in India, had a contract with a US company to supply certain services. So for example, say consultancy services or design services. But I was not able to execute it completely. So partly I have outsourced to one of the person outside country. Say it is in Mexico or in Germany, I have outsourced part of the contract as in Mexico. So amount, say example is contract with US company, say $15 lakh, and I have outsourced to a Mexico company around us $8 lakh. So whether my foreign considerations will be 15 lakhs minus 8 lakh, or whether my foreign considerations will be 50 lakhs actually. Because part of the amount I have to pay to my outsourced supplier. First issue actually. I've entered into a contract with a US company. Are you able to understand the facts actually? I've entered into a contract with a US company, and US company, the contract is for $15 lakhs. And out of that, I have outsourced to a company in Mexico saying that I will pay you $8 lakh for part of the work executed. So whether my considerations will be 15 lakhs or 8 lakhs actually, or 15 minus 8 actually, 7 lakhs, 15 lakhs, because what consideration I am going to receive from my recipient is 15 lakhs, and I am going to pay 8 lakhs to my vendor outside India, that is Mexico company. Now my issue is, I'll just come to the next issue what they have clarified in the circular. So according to you, 15 lakhs I will treat as export of services and 8 lakhs I will treat as import of services. Are you clear on this? Why? Because my vendor is outside, I have taken his services of Mexico company, so it will amount to a import of services. Now the second issue what is clarified in the circular is, out of this 15 lakhs, 8 lakh is paid by that US company to Mexico company directly. I have not received 15 lakhs. I have received only 7 lakhs, whereas 8 lakhs is paid to the Mexico company directly. So in that case also, should I net off this export minus import and treat only 7 lakhs as export, or should I treat again as 15 lakhs as my exports and 8 lakh as import of services? Yes? 15 lakhs will be my export of services and 8 lakhs will be my import of services. That is what they have clarified in this example actually, with the saying that irrespective of your receiver part consideration, with the permission of RBI, they can treat it as an export of services. Now the second is LUT actually. This was the most common issue we had in the initial period. Lot of exports were made without LUT. Lot of time we had applied for LUT, we did not get LUT, but still we have exported with and many times manually we had lot of issues. But after electronically LUT, I think we get ARN number when you apply for LUT. That ARN number can be incorporated in your invoice. You need not have that copy of LUT at all. That ARN number of your LUT can be incorporated in your invoice, and that will amount to as export without payment of taxes. So whenever you are exporting without payment of taxes, you always see that ARN number of that LUT should be incorporated in your invoices whenever you are exporting. But there was a lot of issues. Many times we have exported without payment of taxes, but we have not produced the LUT because of technical reasons or because of whatever the reasons. So this circular will definitely help us out for all of us, saying that the de-furnishing of LUT in such cases may be condoned and the facility for export under LUT may be allowed on ex post facto basis, taking into account the fact and circumstances of the case. So many times notices are issued saying that you have exported, but where is the copy of LUT? You have not produced LUT, so that becomes one of the document non-compliances for claiming a refund actually. So plus you can refer to this circular so that this can help you out to get a refund. And what in case if you are shown in your invoice as export without payment of taxes, but you actually wanted to go for export with payment of taxes? Your invoice is showing export without payment of taxes, but actually it is export with payment of taxes. Your shipping bill is showing some different information, your invoice is showing different information. Possible? Possible or not? Your invoice is showing by mistake without payment of taxes, whereas your shipping bill is showing export with payment of taxes. This is the issues which we had initially actually. Because of new procedures, new compliances, lot of differences we are finding between the invoices and the shipping bill. So I think this can be one of your observations during audit. Just have a look on that whether it is matching with whatever the conditions are attached to for both with and without payment of GST. And in case if you have applied for LUT and if it is not accepted within 3 days, it is deemed that you have applied for LUT. So don't wait for 10 days, 15 days. 3 days are the maximum time given by the law, saying that within 3 days if no reply, deem that you have LUT is applicable to your case. Now the next question is whether LUT bond is required for export of exempt supplies or non-GST supplies. Whether it is required actually. So whether credit of ITC with respect to such supplies is eligible for refund. Two issues are there. Can you export the exempted goods without payment of taxes by using LUT? The exempted goods are exported. So is LUT required? LUT is required or not required actually? Procedurally it is required actually. But the circular says that in case the requirement cannot be insisted upon. It means it is not very much mandatory, but it is as a part of procedure it is required. Can you claim the refund of input tax credit which are used for goods which are exported, which are exempted? Generally what happens? Whenever you are having an exempt supply and if you have any input tax credit, you are reversing your input tax credit for exempt supply. But such exempt goods are exported, can you claim the refund of that? Can you claim the refund of input tax credit which is used for the exempt supply, which is used for the goods which are exempted but which are exported actually?
No.
No? Yes or no? My answer says yes actually. Because section 16 of the IGST Act, if you read the second subsection 2, it states that input tax credit is blocked only for block credit, that is 17 subsection 5, that is the block credit, that is what they are restricting. Otherwise, all other input tax credit, even if it is used for exempt supplies, it is eligible for claiming a refund. So for exports, madam, you can claim the refund of input tax credit. Only for your tax, only for your exempt supplies within India, you are required to reverse your input tax credit. Yes? These are certain aspects actually when we are handling, we are able to analyze it. Now the next option is merchant exporters. I think this is also something which was there under the earlier regime. Now they have brought it with certain conditions as merchant exporters. Who is merchant exporter actually? Merchant exporter means a person engaged in trading activity and exporting or intending to export a goods. He is acting like an agent between the exporter and the foreign buyer actually. So in case I am a supplier and if I am going to supply to a merchant exporter who is ultimately going to export those goods, there is option given under the GST law. What is that option? You can charge only 0.1%, that is 0.05 CGST and 0.05 SGST, or 0.1% saying that it is a supply to merchant exporters. So whenever you issue the invoice to a merchant exporter, he should endorse it and he should furnish that copy to the supplier and to the respective jurisdictional officer. Actually, in many instances, we are saying that it is supplied to merchant exporters, but they are not doing this procedure actually. So this should not become an issue for claiming your refund actually. So this is an option. It means what? If I am a registered supplier and if I am exporting to a merchant exporter, I have the option. Either I will charge 0.1%, yes, to a merchant exporter, or I can charge the full rate of taxes to a merchant exporter. So in case if I charge 0.1%, can I get the refund under inverted duty structure? What is inverted duty structure? Inverted duty structure is the one where your rate of inputs are higher than the rate of your output. The rate of output is here only 0.1%, whereas you have lot of input tax credit. So the law has given you the benefit of inverted duty structure also. So you can claim the refund as a registered supplier. Whenever I am supplying to a merchant exporter, I can claim the refund of the balance credit whatever, because my output is very small. My output tax is hardly 0.1%, whereas I have huge credit of my inputs, and so accordingly I should claim the refund of inputs used for such merchant exporters. So this is specified in notification 40/2017 dated 23 October 2017, saying that the GST rate at 0.1% will be charged and the above rate is optional, and in such case exporter can export only under LUT or bond actually. Yes. So in that case what he should do? The merchant exporter can export only under LUT and bond, and the supplier can opt for or declare copy of order and endorsed tax. What is this order actually? What order we are talking here? This is a copy of export order actually. Copy of export order and endorsed tax invoice shall be provided to registered supplier and the respective jurisdictional officer. So what is the copy required to be given to the officer? The tax invoice what you are receiving from your registered supplier and the export order which you have received against which the merchant exporter is going to export such goods should be provided. Supplies to merchant exporter is neither zero rated nor deemed export. Somebody was asking like whether the supplies to merchant exporter will amount to a deemed export. No, it is not at all a deemed export. Can I take it as a zero rated? It is not at all a zero rated. So this is something beyond this deemed exports or zero rated. So it is your regular supplies, but only the benefit of inverted duty structure is given by charging a very small rate of taxes on the supplies. Why this has been brought actually? Why this has been brought? So that the merchant exporter need not block the amount for, so to save lot of working capital issues, this has been brought under the GST law. Merchant exporter can export, supplier can claim the refund if supplier is 0.1% as inverted duty structure. So inverted duty structure is defined in section 54, subsection 3, subsection B of the GST Act. Yes, any issues on merchant exports? Yes, so I think this is the option. You can look into that whenever you have a merchant exporter, supplies to a merchant exporter.
But
Yes.
if a person is performing as a merchant exporter, as well as he is exporting his own manufactured,
Yes.
then
Possible. It is possible. He can go for merchant export to the extent of the supplies what he is going to export against which he has received an export order. In addition to that, he can go for his regular supplies actually. So to the extent of merchant exports, he can go for inverted duty structure.
My client is into export business and also he have clients who are falling in this merchant export.
Yes.
So does he need to maintain two sets of bills to go for inward duty structure?
Yes,
Okay.
actually, if you read section 54 subsection 3, the refund is allowed in two scenarios. One is exports without payment of taxes, and the second scenario is inverted duty structure. Now let us assume that I am dealing in a business where my output rate is 5% and my input rate is 18%. Yes, I am also exporting these goods. I am also having a inverted duty structure. You agree? Yes or no? I am exporting as well as I am doing a domestic supplies. My output rate is 5%, whereas my input rate is 18%. I am eligible to claim refund under both the scenarios. Yes. First scenario is export without payment of taxes. Second scenario is inverted duty structure. Whereas you have your common input tax, you have all your input tax credit which can pertain to your export without payment of duty, or you can have your inputs which is pertaining to your inverted duty structure. Yes. That's why in Rule 89 they have specified the formula for inverted duty structure and for other domestic supplies. So if you refer those rules, they have given a clear formulas for arriving the input tax credit pertaining to inverted duty structure and pertaining to exports without payment of taxes. Now coming to your questions, whether you need to maintain separate two books of accounts. Law has not mandated to you to maintain the two separate books of accounts, but you have to maintain the details of input tax credit. If you are able to maintain it, your input tax credit pertaining to your zero rated supplies and inverted duty structure, that will substantiate to take a refund appropriately. Because in inverted duty structure, you are not able to claim the refund of input services. Whereas in export without payment of taxes, you are able to claim the refund even on input services. Am I right? So, if you don't maintain that separate books of accounts, it might have impact on your input service credit especially. Yes?
So, transitional credit also can be claimed here.
Yes?
Transitional credit.
Yes. Transitional credit, yes.
Can be claimed.
Transitional credit, you have to apply in transitional form and you can claim that credit actually.
Refund of transitional.
Refund, yes. I think they are not allowed refund of transitional credit. They have said only set off. There is one circular saying that you will not get a refund of transitional credit, but you have to set off with your liabilities.
If I don't have any liability,
then I think it will become your cost. That is a painful actually for transitional credit. Whereas I don't know, it is only there in the circular. In the law, I did not find out in any of the transitional provision, but it was there in the circular stating that you cannot claim the refund of transitional credit. So whenever you were planning for transitional credit, I think you would have looked into this aspect also, that whether it is set off. And I think today or yesterday they have come out for this transitional form saying that you can apply even manually also, subject to the reasons by 31st March 2019. So if any of you have missed any transitional credit, you can try upon. Whether you get or not is not assured, but at least you can try based on the Calcutta High Court, I think, which has given saying that you can apply for transitional credit even though there are the technical errors or any other reasons. You have to wait and see how it is going to work out for that. Yes?
Refund can be applied by exporting for transitional credit and setting up against payment of duty against export. So I can apply for refund.
You are setting it up with payment of duty actually.
Yes.
No, but in circular saying that you should not claim refund. So ultimately it becomes your refund. See, you are going either with payment of taxes or without payment of taxes. You cannot claim the refund of that transitional credit. Circular is very specific on that. So I don't think so they will give you the refund of. They might allow now, but if during assessment it might have an impact on transitional credit.
If I'm exporter, order copy I need to give to jurisdiction officer for me to get 0.1%.
Yes.
So ultimately this 0.1% I will get if I happen to be an exporter.
Yes.
So I need to submit order copy and all.
Yes.
In that case, is it not disadvantageous to me to go for inverted duty? Because if I go for inverted duty, my refund on input services will be harmful.
Yes.
I will get only on inputs.
So you plan it accordingly.
Point one will be only for exporters.
Yes.
In that case, I can go for ITC.
Better to go for with payment of taxes. If you have such input services is huge, go with payment of taxes.
So even if, otherwise also, refund of ITC also, I can go by normal rules as an
Yes.
exporter.
Yes, yes.
Instead of going
So not going for inverted duty structure, you
Yeah.
can pay your regular taxes and go for the refund. But merchant exporter should make without payment of taxes. Whenever it is 0.1%, you have to export without
without payment of tax, I can apply for ITC refund.
Yes. So that way you have to plan. Subject if you have lot of input services.
If I am making a supply, like export of books, which qualifies for the earning rated of duty, right? So can I consider this, the moment when I do the export, it will be zero rated supply, right?
Yes, sir.
So I can claim the ITC on
Yes,
the
sir.
like
You can claim
logistics
ITC, you can claim compensation cess also.
under section 16
Yes.
section 2, right?
Yes, yes. That's what I have referred to that circular actually.
Thank
You
you.
can claim the refund of input tax credit even though it is used for your exempt supplies. Anything else?
It's a previous slide on LUT. It has to be renewed every year.
Yes, sir. It has to be renewed every year because it is applicable for 12 months actually. So 1 year per year you have to go for each. 1 LUT will suffice for the year actually. Yes. You need not apply LUT for each transactions. 1 LUT will suffice subject to the fulfillment of condition. If you fail that condition, that 250 crore prosecution, all that, if you fail that condition, then your LUT will also get cancelled.
Is there any time limit, madam?
For what?
31st March is nearing now.
Yes.
So we need
No
to
time limit. If you are really exporting without payment of tax, immediately you can apply.
immediately.
Yes. You will get ARN number, apply that ARN number in your invoice. Now it has become very easy actually. Shall I proceed? Now the next issue is special economic zone actually. There is no special definition in the IGST Act. It has been given the meaning as specified in section 2 subsection ZA of Special Economic Zone Act 2005. So as I told you initially that zero rated supply includes supply of goods or services or both to or by SEZ. Very important is the supplies by SEZ and supply to SEZ will be treated as interstate supply. So that is the one point we have to remember. Not only supply to SEZ will be IGST, even supply by SEZ is also IGT, interstate supplies. Now the next question is, unregistered supply can supply to SEZ. I am unregistered dealer, can I supply to SEZ? Because section 24 states that if there is any interstate taxable supplies, there is a compulsory registration. So, but will it restrict something like that? Yes? Whatever it is, goods or services, I am asking, can it be done? Can it be done? Actually, whether SEZ should restrict that we will not import, we will not buy the goods from unregistered purchase supply. Because unregistered purchaser, we know that he should get a registration, but he has not got. He is supplying the goods to the SEZ. Can we do so actually? There is no specific restriction as such, but as per the law, he should get compulsory registration. Yes. Now the next question is whether separate registration should be taken by SEZ unit and other place of business. You have one SEZ unit and other your regular place of business. Should you take a separate registration or should you go for one registration? So recently again they have mandated saying that you should go for separate registration as SEZ, and if there is other business unit you should go for other business unit as regular registration. Yes. Now next question is whether e-way bill is required when the goods are moving from DTA to SEZ or vice versa located in the same state. Whether benefits are given, whether any exemptions are given, saying that okay, if you are supplying to SEZ, don't issue e-way bill. Any such exemptions are there from issuing e-way bill? So there is a circular on this clarifying that e-way bill is not required only if e-way bill is required in all the circumstances except if it is an exempted goods which is specified in Rule 138 sub Rule 14, then it is not required. So it is whatever is applicable to regular person, the same thing is applicable even to supply to SEZ. So there is no specific benefit that if you are supplying to SEZ, e-way bill is not required. This was clarified, so I thought I will bring to your notice. Now the next issue is, this was I think more or less we all are well versed, because already I told you supply to SEZ and supply by SEZ is always a interstate supplies. Now the issue is whether the accommodations given to SEZ, whether it is an interstate or intrastate. For example, if any employees are staying in the hotel, I am an employee of SEZ, I am staying in a hotel actually. So whether hotel person should charge me IGST or whether we should charge me CGST, SGST. Why? Because supply to SEZ is always a interstate supply. Yes? But what is the place of supply in the case of renting of immovable property? Location of immovable property. What are the two aspects for immovable property? Location of the supplier and the location of immovable property. Yes? So if I am staying in a hotel, for example, this is discussed in this AAR in Gokta Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited, saying that if employees is staying, for example, I am in Bangalore, my SEZ is also in Bangalore, let us assume. I am staying in a hotel in Bangalore. So Bangalore person should charge me what actually? I am an employee of SEZ, I have stayed in hotel. What taxes he will charge me? CGST, SGST. No, I am an employee of SEZ. Now the issue is whether it is intrastate supply or interstate supply. For hotel person, whether it is an intrastate supply or interstate supply, it is intrastate supply. Why? Because location is also in Karnataka, place of supply is also in Karnataka. Whereas I am an employee of SEZ. So can I say that it is SEZ? So that's what it was discussed in the advance ruling. And they said the hotel accommodations and restaurant services being provided by the applicant within the premises of the hotel to the employees and guests of SEZ units cannot be treated as supply of goods and services to SEZ units in Karnataka. Hence the interstate supply untaxable accordingly. Yes. Now let us see one more interesting. Whether the benefit of zero-rated supplies, these are the certain clarifications which are made in advance rulings. Whether the benefit of zero-rated supply can be allowed to all procurements by a SEZ developer or a SEZ unit such as event management services, hotel and accommodation services, consumables. If it is for authorized operation, then you can say that yes, it is. It is applicable. But my question is, Whether this authorized operation is specified in section 16 of the IGST Act? No. They are not stated it is for, they only said supply to SEZ. Supply of goods or services to SEZ will amount to a zero rated supply. Where they have used for authorized operation? Where is this word has come out to decide? It has come in CGST Rule 89 saying that whenever you are supplying the goods or services to SEZ, the designated officer should acknowledge it and say that it is used for authorized operations. Yes, then only it will amount to a zero rated supply. Yes, so this is what they have clarified. The supply of beverages, ingredients to such beverage to SEZ using coffee vending machines by the applicant do not qualify as zero rated supply as defined in section 16. Are you getting that? The principle what I am saying. This coffee vending machine is installed in SEZ. Whether it is used for authorized operations? Yes? Yes or no? This is just a coffee vending machine for providing coffee to the employees. Can I say it is used for authorized operation in SEZ? The designated officer has stated it is not for authorized operation, so it will not amount to a interstate. Does not qualify as a zero rated supply. So this is discussed in case of Coffee Day Global Limited 2018 in respective EAR. Now the next issue here is hotel is there in non-processing zone of SEZ providing the services to other SEZ unit. For example, this hotel itself is located in non-processing zone of SEZ. So is it zero rated supply and not liable to GST. So they have said if hotel itself is providing services to a person outside SEZ, then it will become liable to GST. So this is what clarified in Saptagiri Hospitality Private Limited. Now the next issue is whether SEZ can continue to import raw material without payment of any duties actually. Yes, SEZ can import without payment of any duty. Now the next issue is whether SEZ should mention in the invoice, like whenever I am making a supply to SEZ, should I show in my invoice that I am supplying to SEZ? Many invoices we are reviewing, we are finding that nobody is writing that it is supplied to SEZ with payment of taxes, without payment of taxes. If you are exporting with payment of taxes, without payment of taxes, it has to be specifically mentioned in your invoice. It is one of the mandatory rule to mention it specifically. So if you are not doing it, please start doing on that so that it gives a clarity that whether it is with payment or without payment. Can person in the composition can make supplies to SEZ? First issue was unregistered. The second issue is whether composition supplier can supply.
Yes.
No.
No interstate transaction. So if you want to be eligible under the scheme, one of the conditions is that you should not make any interstate transfer supply. So I think that way we say that it is not applicable. Yes?
Madam, in case of the subsidiary hospitality, hotel business, then specified services are under SEZ.
Authorized operation.
They are not exporting, but still
they will get it. That is what the benefit they are giving it.
hotel in SEZ will cost us less.
Less, correct. Okay, now next is which is a notification which is giving an exemptions from IGST, that is goods imported by SEZ or developer for authorized operations are exempt from basic custom duty and IGST. So for this you will not find IGST notification, you have to refer to the customs notification, that is 64/2017. It says that why we are referring to the customs notification? Because IGST is leviable under section 3 subsection 7 of your custom tariff act. So you have to refer to the customs notification always to see the exemptions or leviable of IGST. And whether services are also exempted for SEZ when you are importing the services from outside the country, whether that is also exempted by SEZ. Import of goods, yes, we are clear. Whether import of services are also exempted from IGST. Yes or no? Yes, it is exempted. It is clarified in notification 18/2017 saying that on import of services it is not liable. Now the next question is whether reverse charge is applicable under section 9.3 and 9.4 applicable to SEZ. Next question. This is only we have made analyzing, but this question will definitely come. Whether SEZ should pay the taxes under reverse charge. They have an exemption for what? They have an exemption for import of goods and import of services. So to the extent of reverse charge on import of services, he can take an exemptions. What about the other inward supplies actually? like advocate fees, like sponsors fees, like GTA services, whether SEZ is liable to pay under reverse charge. Yes, sir. Lot of discussion on this actually. What it can be analyzed it, if for example legal fees I am using it for my authorized operation. Yes, then as a recipient I am entering into the shoes of a supplier and I will be liable to pay the IGST as zero rated supply. It will become like a zero rated supply for this legal fees whatever the advocate is supposed to pay. I will enter into his shoes and I will become liable. But I will not pay the tax by because I can go with the option of zero rated supply. Yes, with or without payment, because supplier also can go with the option of with LUT, without LUT. So as a recipient, when I entered into the shoes of supplier, I think I can go with, this is one of the view actually what we can think of that it can be considered as zero rated supply. But to consider as zero rated supply, it should be used for authorized operation. Now this legal fees I am not using for authorized operation. Just some partner's case was there, I took a legal fees. I paid a legal fees to my advocate. It is not used for authorized operation. Should I pay the reverse charge tax on that? It is not for authorized operation. So if it is not for authorized operation, I cannot take the benefit of zero rated supply. Are you getting it? Differentiation in the case of reverse charge for SEZ actually. So I think with that I feel that if it is not for authorized operation, I think it is better to pay the taxes and claim the credit. Yes, I think that we can see. And as on date, we don't have much notified supplies. Only 9.3 is active and 9.4 is not at all implemented as on date.
If we say zero rated, if it's stepping into the shoes of advocate, do we need to execute LUT?
Yes, that is what I feel. But if for services it is not required, LUT. LUT, I don't think so we have to take for, it's goods only to general rate. For services, I think you can still go for that. As a recipient, I know for when you are exporting, generally we take it for goods. No? We take it actually, export for services, but for this case, legal case, I don't think so we should restrict that. We can take it.
Without LUT?
You have tried and you have done actually, but if you want to be very, because there is no clarification till now. If you really want to be, you can apply for LUT, get it and treat it as a zero rated supply. Only thing is how to connect the zero rated supply with reverse charge liability. That is the issue. So we just paid it and took the credit of that.
But even after taking the credit, there is no opportunity for utilization of it. Because whatever receipt is
Go for refund. Go for refund. Refund is permissible. First pay it and then claim a refund. Yes?
Madam, what is authorized operation? Has it been defined under the city state now?
It is not defined actually.
So can I just say this, just like the furtherance of your business?
No, because the problem is the power has been given to a designated officer to decide. It is not in the hands of the supplier or to the recipient. There is a designated officer which is appointed in SEZ to endorse the document saying that whether it is used for authorized operations or not. Yes?
So even if you don't mention in the case of the invoice that this word authorized operations,
Not required. Authorized operation not required. You only say supply to SEZ with payment and without payment. You need not say for authorized operation. That is not required. That is only to claim a refund. They are saying that it should be for authorized operation. Otherwise, you are not eligible for refund.
Because in the rule, if you read that rule, they clearly mention this authorized operation with payment of duty with authorized operation. So that's what I was wondering, because when we claim the refund, so that time these officials basically put this kind of objections.
Correct. That's why you should always take an endorsement of that designated officer. That endorsement itself will suffice that yes, it is used for. If you put Thappa saying that yes, it is for authorized operation, you can go for refund immediately. If it is, they are saying it is not for authorized operation, you can't claim the refund of it. That's why in Rule 89 specifically they have said it has to be acknowledged by the designated officer. And other school of thought for this reverse charges, SEZ can export without payment of taxes, and I think we can look into that perspective also. So we'll see. Now the next question is, we understood from the procurement by SEZ. Yes. Now let us understand whether supply by SEZ to DTA is liable. Supply by SEZ to a domestic tariff area, whether it is liable for GST. So removal of goods from SEZ to DTA would be considered as import of goods and IGST is paid at the time of filing bill of entry. It means who should pay IGST? It is a DTA who should pay the IGST by filing the bill of entry to a SEZ. If it is not filing, then it is an implication on SEZ. Then supply of services by SEZ to DTA, whether that is leviable. Yes, it is a regular transactions. It is liable to IGST tax as any supply of goods or services by SEZ is treated as interstate supply. Are you clear? For supply of goods by SEZ to DTA, DTA should produce the bill of entry and pay the IGST at the time of clearance. Whereas in case of services by SEZ to DTA, it will be treated as regular transaction. Now we worked on this issue actually, so just want to make a special example of this actually. There is one DTA in say let us assume it is in Bangalore. The DTA vendor 2 is also, there are 2 persons and then the second person is supplying to SEZ. Are you able to get? DTA 1 is there, DTA 2 is there and DTA 2 is supplying to a SEZ. What is zero rated supply actually? Supply by DTA to a SEZ. Which DTA we have to consider here? DTA 1 or DTA 2? DTA 2. So DTA 2 to the SEZ will be treated as zero rated supply. What is it impact for DTA vendor 1 to DTA vendor 2? Normal transactions. Are you able to understand? Whereas under the CST law we had this. What we had in CST law? Not for SEZ but it was for penultimate sale, that is for deemed exports. We used to have saying that, what it was? Which form we used to use actually? Form H. We used to use Form H for not paying the tax between DTA vendor 1 to DTA vendor 2. Yes, here it is SEZ, there it was exports. Now let us come to this implications. Now DTA vendor 1 to DTA vendor 2, we are saying that it is either CGST, SGST depending upon the place of supply as specified in 10.1. Whereas DTA vendor 2 to SEZ is zero rated. You agree with this? Whether it is in Bangalore or in Mumbai, is it making any difference? It doesn't make any because it is always a interstate supply. Even if your SEZ is within the same state, always it is treated as interstate supply. If you see here, DTA vendor 2 is first case is Bangalore, whereas SEZ is also in Bangalore. What we call it as interstate supply as zero rated. Fine. Now next issue is here in between. This is bill to ship to transaction. Are you able to get bill to ship to transactions? Whereas SEZ is a third party which is giving an order to a DTA vendor to supply the goods to a DTA vendor 2. Goods are not coming into the SEZ. Yes, goods are going from where? DTA vendor 1 to DTA vendor 2. So the issue is, in that case, whether it can be said that goods are being admitted and used for authorized operations. Bill to ship to transactions. SEZ is in between a DTA 1 and DTA 2. So this implication also has to be analyzed. This is also one of the issues. So basically only the issue can be you will not receive physically, but can you still enjoy the benefit of that?
In that case, the DTA vendor need to file bill of entry.
Yes.
Even though goods have not entered into
Yes.
SEZ.
That is a procedure today. Because ultimately, physically goods are not moving, but document of title is saying that DTA vendor 1 to SEZ and SEZ to a DTA. Are you clear on this? So this is the implications accordingly, you have to look into that. So DTA vendor to SEZ is IGST zero rated and Bangalore to this IGST. I think this is
Madam, shouldn't we read in this way, like, where the goods delivery is getting